So I thought today we can sing another song, because today's verse will speak about Sharanagati. Who has heard about Sharanagati? Yes, not so many. Sharanagati? Ever heard of Sharanagati? Sharanagati? Yes. So there is a beautiful song written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It's the introductory song to the Sharanagati songbook, and I sent the song text in the WhatsApp group, so the temple devotees should have it on the phone. Who brought the phone? Very good. I mean, it's good not to bring the phone to the morning program. So you brought your phone, Madhusudan Prabhu? Yeah? You have connection? So I can send you. And Liga, you have your phone? You don't have your phone, Anna? Madhusudan, you got it?
Yes.
I didn't save your number. How to do? You can send it to her. You can take her number.
You can send it to me.
Okay, I can send it to Devashri. So maybe we can first read the translation also, so we understand what we are singing. So the song starts: Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jive Doya Kori Swaparshada Sviyadama Saha Avatari. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, along with his personal associates and divine abode, descended to this material world out of compassion for the fallen souls. Atyanta Dulava Prema Koribare Dan Shikaya Sharanagati Bakatera Pran. In order to freely distribute the gift of ecstatic love of God, which is very difficult to obtain, he taught the path of Sharanagati, devotional surrender to the Supreme Lord, which is the very life of the true devotees. Dainya Atma Nivedan Goptritve Varan Avashya Rakshibe Krishne Vishwas Palan. The 6 ways of surrender through Sharanagati are: 1. Humility. 2. Full surrender of the self. 3. Acceptance of the Lord as one's only maintainer. 4. The consciousness of Krishna will surely protect me, which is faith in Krishna's protection. Bhakti Anukula Matra Karyera Svikar Bhakti Pratikula Bhava Varchanangikar. Execution of only those acts favorable to pure devotion. And 6. Abstention of acts adverse to pure devotion. Shadanga Sharanagati Hoibe Janghar Tahar Prarthan Shune Shri Nanda Kumar. Shri Nanda Kumar, the youthful son of Nanda Maharaj, hears the prayers of anyone who takes refuge in him by this 6-fold practice of surrender. Rupa Sanatana Pade Dante Trinakori Bhakati Vinoda Pare Duhu Pada Dhori. Bhakti Vinod prostrates himself at the feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Sanatana Goswami, places a straw between his teeth and clasps their lotus feet with his hands. Kadiya kadiya bole amito adham, shikaye sharanagati kara he uttam. Weeping and weeping, he tells them, I am certainly the lowest of men. Please make me the worthiest by teaching me the ways of surrender. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Chivedaya Kori Swaparshada Sviyadhama Saha Avatari. Chivedaya Kori Swaparshada Sviyadhama Saha Avatari. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Chivedaya Kori Swapashada Sviyadhama Saha Avatari. Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Chivedaya Kori Sapashada Siyadham Saha Avatari. Atyanta Durlabha Prema Kori Baredam Shikaya Sharanagati Bhakatera Pran. Atyanta Durlabha Prema Kori Baredam Shikaya Sharanagati Bhakatera Pran. Dainya Atma Nivedan Goptritve Varan Avashya Rakshibe Krishna Vishwasapalan. Dainya Atma Nivedan Goptritve Varan Avashya Rakshibe Krishna Vishwasapalan. Dainya Atma Nivedan Goptritve Varan Avashya Rakshibe Krishna Vishwasapalan. Bhakti Anukula Matra Karyera Svikar Bhakti Pratikula Bhava Varchanangika. Bhakti Anukula Matra Karyera Svikar Bhakti Pratikula Bhava Varchanangika. Shadanga Sharanagati Hoibe Jangha Tahara Pratana Shune Shri Nanda Kumar. Shadanga Sharanagati Hoibe Jangha Tahar Pratana Shune Shri Nanda Kumar. Rupa Sanatana Pade Dante Trina Kori Bhakti Vinoda Pare Duhupada Dhori. Rupa Sanatana Pade Dante Trina Kori Bhakti Vinoda Pare Duhupada Dhori. Kadiya Kadiya Bale Amito Adham Shikaye Sharanagati Karahe Uttam. Kadiya Kadiya Bale Amito Adham Shikaye Sharanagati Karahe Uttam. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jive Doya Kori Swaparshada Swiyadham Saha Avatari. Who knows this song from before? First. Yeah? No? Not. Who knows the song? Please raise your. 4. So not so many. Okay. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda, 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 Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we are continuing from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 22, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs Sanatana Goswami, and this chapter is entitled The Process of Devotional Service. So we are reading from this section of Chaitanya Charitamrita for quite some time now, and just to wake you up a bit and also involve you, does anyone know how long that not conversation you can say, but that teaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sanatana Goswami took? Like, for how long did he instruct Sanatana Goswami? maybe you can guess. I was just reading it yesterday. 1 month? Okay. Not exactly, a little more.
61 days.
62 months.
61 days maybe.
Why 61?
I remember this number.
Okay. It is said 2 months. For 2 months, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was instructing Sanatana Goswami. And do you remember where? Which place? In Prayag. No, not in Prayag, in Varanasi, sorry. In Varanasi. Rupa Goswami was instructed in Prayag. So we are reading from text 96 up to 100. And we have text 100 on the board, so I will just read the other verses myself. Ka panditastvata parang sharanang samiyat bhakta priya dritta gira surida kritagyat sarvanda dati surido bhajato bikaman atmanam apyupajaya pajoyo nayasya. Translation. My dear Lord, you are very affectionate to your devotees. You are also a truthful and grateful friend. Where is that learned man who would give you up and surrender to someone else? You fulfill all the desires of your devotees, so much so that sometimes you even give yourself to them. Still, you neither increase nor decrease by such activity. This is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:48-26. Vigyajanera hayayadi Krishna guna gyan anyatyachi bachetate udava praman. Whenever an experienced person develops real knowledge of Krishna and his transcendental qualities, he naturally gives up all other engagements and renders service to the Lord. Uddhava gives evidence concerning this. Aho bhakyang stana kala kutam chikang saya payayad apyasadvi lebhegatim dhatryuchitang tatonyang kangva dayalung sharanang vrajema. Oh, how wonderful it is! Putana, the sister of Bakasura, wanted to kill Krishna by smearing deadly poison on her breasts and having Krishna take it. Nonetheless, Lord Krishna accepted her as his mother, and thus she attained the destination befitting Krishna's mother. Of whom should I take shelter but Krishna, who is most merciful? This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 3:2-23. Sharanagatera akinchanera ekailakshana dharmade praveshaye atma samarpana. There are two kinds of devotees. Those who are fully satiated and free from all material desires, and those who are fully surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord. Their qualities are one and the same. But those who are fully surrendered to Krishna's lotus feet are qualified with another transcendental quality, Atma Samarpana, full surrender without reservation. And now we come to text 100, which we can recite together. Anukulyasya sankalpa Anukulyasya sankalpa Pratikulyasya varjanam Pratikulyasya varjanam Rakshishyati ti vishvaso 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 Rakshishyati ti vishva Rakshishyati iti vishvaso Goptritve varanang tatha Goptritve varanang tatha Atmanikshepa karpanye Atmanikshepa karpanye Shadvidha sharanagati Shadvidha sharanagati Anukulyasya sankalpa Pratikulyasya varjanam Rakshishyati iti vishvaso Goptritve varanang tatha Atmanikshepa karpanye Shadvidha sharanagati. Please chant.
Anukulasya sankalpa
Anukulyasya sankalpa
Pratikulasya varjanam
Pratikulyasya varjanam
Rakshishyati iti vishvaso
Rakshishyati iti vishvaso
Goptritve varanam tatha
Goptritve varanam tatha
Atmanikshena karpanye
Atmanikshepa karpanye
Shadvidha sharanagati
Shadvidha sharanagati. Mataji? Matajis.
Anukulyasya sankalpa
Anukulyasya sankalpa
Pratikulyasya varjanam
Pratikulyasya varjanam
Rakshishyati vishvaso
Rakshishyati iti vishvaso
Goptritve varanam tatha
Goptritve varanam tatha
Atmanikshepa karpanye
Atmanikshepa karpanye
Sadvidha sharanagati
Shadvidha sharanagati. Anukulyasya sankalpa Pratikulyasya varjanam Rakshishyati iti vishvaso Goptritve varanam tatha Atmanikshepa karpanye Shadvidha sharanagati. Word for word. Anukulyasya, of anything that assists devotional service to the Lord. Of anything that assists devotional service to the Lord. Sankalpaha, acceptance. Pratikulyasya, of anything that hinders devotional service. Varjanam, completely rejection. Complete rejection. Rakshishyati, he will protect. Iti, thus. Vishwasaha, strong conviction. Goptritve, in being the guardian, like the father or husband, master or maintainer. Varanang, acceptance. Tata, as well as. Atmanikshepa, full surrender. Karpanye, and humility. Shatvidha, sixfold. Sharana agatihi, process of surrender. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The 6 divisions of surrender are the acceptance of those things favorable to devotional service, the rejection of unfavorable things, the conviction that Krishna will give protection, the acceptance of the Lord as one's guardian or master, full self-surrender, and humility. Purport. Jetzt bist du aber verbrannt. Jetzt bist du aber verbrannt. One who is fully surrendered is qualified with the 6 following characteristics. The devotee has to accept everything that is favorable for the rendering of transcendental loving service to the Lord. 2. He must reject everything unfavorable to the Lord's service. This is also called renunciation. 3. A devotee must be firmly convinced that Krishna will give him protection. No one else can actually give one protection. And being firmly convinced of this is called faith. This kind of faith is different from the faith of an impersonalist who wants to merge into the Brahman effulgence in order to benefit by cessation of repeated birth and death. A devotee wants to remain always in the Lord's service. In this way, Krishna is merciful to his devotee and gives him all protection from the dangers found on the path of devotional service. 4. The devotee should accept Krishna as his supreme maintainer and master. He should not think that he is being protected by a demigod. He should depend only on Krishna, considering him the only protector. The devotee must be firmly convinced that within the 3 worlds he has no protector or maintainer other than Krishna. 5. Self-surrender means remembering that one's activities and desires are not independent. The devotee is completely dependent on Krishna, and he acts and thinks as Krishna desires. 6. The devotee is meek and humble. Lord Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Sarvasya jaham ridisani vishto matas mrittir jnanam apohanam cha vedaishcha sarvair ahang eva vedyo vedanta krit vedavid eva jaham. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. Situated in everyone's heart, Krishna deals differently according to the living entity's position. The living entity's position is to be under the protection of the illusory energy or under Krishna's personal protection. When a living entity is fully surrendered, he is under the direct protection of Krishna, and Krishna gives him all intelligence by which he can advance in spiritual realization. The non-devotee, however, being under the protection of the illusory energy, increasingly forgets his relationship with Krishna. Sometimes it is asked how Krishna causes one to forget. Krishna personally causes his devotee to forget material activities, and through the agency of Maya, Krishna causes the non-devotee to forget his devotional service to the Lord. This is called apohana. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalang Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatang Vitang Tvang Sajivang Sadvaitam Savadutang Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitangscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute, Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Vrishabhanu Sute Devi, Pranamami Hari Priye. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. The 6 divisions of surrender are the acceptance of those things favorable to devotional service, the rejection of unfavorable things, the conviction that Krishna will give protection, the acceptance of the Lord as one's guardian or master, full self-surrender and humility. Hare Krishna. So, we will try to speak a little bit about Sharanagati, and we have around 20 minutes time, and it's not so much to speak about Sharanagati. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he wrote a whole songbook describing the different aspects of Sharanagati, and there is devotees in our movement who give days of seminar just to speak about this topic. So we can only touch a little bit on this topic. So, little more than 5,000 years ago, Krishna was on this planet and he spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. And he concluded his teachings by saying, Sarva dharmam parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja ahang tvang sarva papevyo mokshayishami mashucha. Sarva dharmam parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. Sharanam. Arjuna, just give everything up and surrender unto me. Give up all kinds of inferior religion and surrender unto me. He gave that knowledge and he prepared Arjuna to bring him to this point by speaking on many different things. And that was the conclusion. And this Bhagavad Gita, it was made available later on by Veda Vyas, who wrote different scriptures like Mahabharata, and in the Mahabharata the Bhagavad Gita is also included. So it was available to people in general, but we know from our acharyas that even though the teachings were available, almost nobody knew how to surrender. So it was there, the knowledge was there, everybody knew we should surrender to Krishna, but then not many really did it. And the acharyas explained that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came to show the practical example. And that's what we heard in that song, which Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he actually explains in this song which is sang before the class. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jivedoya Kori Swaparshada Sviyadhama Saha Avatari. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, along with his associates and his abode, his dham, he came to this material world. And why did he come? Because he feels compassion for the fallen, conditioned souls. And how does he show his compassion? Atyanta dolabha prem koribare dan shikaya sharanagati bakatera pran. he came to freely distribute the gift of ecstatic love of God, which is very difficult to obtain. And how did he do that? By teaching the path of Sharanagati, devotional surrender to the Supreme Lord, which is the very life of the true devotees. And how did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu do this? By practical, personal example, he showed how one surrenders fully to the Supreme Lord. And that's how this process of Sharanagati came about. Sharanagati consists of two words, as we've heard in the word-for-word translation, Sharana and Agatihi. Sharana means surrender, and Agatihi the process of surrender. So it is a process. That's very important to understand. In Bhagavad Gita, there is a verse in the 7th chapter. Yesham tvantagatang papang jananam punya karmanam te tvandva moha nirmukta pachante mam tridabrataha. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. Prabhupada, in the Bhagavad Gita, in the purport to the verse Sarvadharma Parityaja, he speaks about the Sharanagati, the process of surrender. And he speaks about that verse I just quoted. Prabhupada writes, the Lord has described various kinds of knowledge and processes of religion. Knowledge of the Supreme Brahman, knowledge of the Supersoul, knowledge of the different types of orders and statuses of social life, knowledge of the renounced order of life, knowledge of non-attachment, sense and mind control, meditation, etc. He has described in so many ways different types of religion. Now, in summarizing Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that Arjuna should give up all the processes that have been explained to him. He should simply surrender to Krishna. That surrender will save him from all kinds of sinful reactions, for the Lord personally promises to protect him. In the 7th chapter, it was said that only one who has become free from all sinful reactions can take to the worship of Lord Krishna. That's what we heard in the previous verse, that Yesham Tantakatam Papam, for one who all the sinful reactions are terminated, over, he can actually start to serve Krishna. And now Krishna is saying, Sarvadharma Parityaja, Mamekang Sharanang Raja, Ahang Tang Sarvapapevyo Mokshayishyami Vasucha. It's like reverse. First he says, you are free from sinful reactions, then you can serve. And then he's saying, you serve me, and then you will become free from sinful reactions. Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Shri Gaura Ki Jai. So Prabhupada is explaining here. Thus one may think that unless he is free from all sinful reactions, he cannot take to the surrendering process. To such doubts, it is here said that even if one is not free from all sinful reactions, simply by the process of surrendering to Sri Krishna, he is automatically freed. There is no need of strenuous effort to free oneself from sinful reactions. One should unhesitatingly accept Krishna as the supreme savior of all living entities. With faith and love, one should surrender unto him. With faith and love. Prabhupada, in the verse we were reading in the purport, he was explaining so nicely how Krishna frees one. He quoted one verse. Which verse did he quote in the purport? Does anyone remember which verse Prabhupada quoted in the purport that I read to the verse we were reciting together? Sarvasya jaham ridisani vishto matas mritirgyanam apohanam cha vedaishcha sarvai ahang eva vedyo vedanta krit vedavid eva jaham. And then Prabhupada says, Krishna personally causes his devotee to forget material activities, and through the agency of Maya, Krishna causes the non-devotee to forget his devotional service to the Lord. This is called apohana. So surrender is so simple that simply by surrendering to Krishna, he is seated in the heart and he can see the surrender, that he will take away the forgetfulness so that one remembers Krishna and serves him with full faith and love again. Very simple, no? Simple, but makes sense if we accept that Krishna is in the heart and he can do that. So I thought we can briefly touch on the different aspects of Sharanagati, and it was said in this verse, it is sixfold. While reflecting about this meaning, what does it mean sixfold? It means that surrender, as Prabhupada also explains, one who is fully surrendered is qualified with the 6 following characteristics. Meaning surrender is seen by a person who is manifesting these 6 kinds of qualities. They are simultaneously present. They are connected with each other. Sixfold. Surrender is one thing, and then it's sixfoldly manifested by these 6 qualities. And interestingly is that in the songbook by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he gives a different sequence of the steps. So here it starts with Anukulyasya Sankalpa, by accepting what is favorable. And where does Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Sharanagati start? From which step? We were also just singing the song. Dainyatma Nivedan. It starts with humility. And in the songbook, where I sent you the song, it's from what's his name? Bhakti Gauravani Maharaj. He compiled a wonderful songbook. He writes, Bhaktivinoda Thakur reverses the order in his songbook by beginning with songs describing dainya, humility, which seems to indicate that the process of surrender is not a stereotype procedure, but can be begun from any of the 6 divisions. I was trying to come up with an example or some analogy how we can think of it, and something that came to my mind, and it's my pure own speculation, so I'm not sure if it's bona fide, is like if you have a vehicle with 6 wheels. We know mostly 4-wheeled vehicles, and we know that, and not everybody knows probably, but those who are a little bit mechanically inclined, in a car only 2 wheels are usually powered, or how you say. And then the other 2, what do? They just follow. And like this, maybe we can compare if you have a vehicle with 6 wheels and the engine can be put on any of the 6 wheels, and if, of course, you have to have a transcendental vision, because usually you need 2. But let's say they're all in one line. then just the engine is connected with one, and if one is turning, then all the others also turn. And he's saying that it's not stereotyped, this Sharanagati, meaning it can start from any of these different aspects. It can be cultivated by starting from humility, or it can starting from accepting whatever is favorable. At least these two options we see present, one hand by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and on the other hand by Krishnadas Kaviraj, who is quoting from Hari Bhakti Vilas. My goal was to speak about practical demonstrations of the different steps of Sharanagati by devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, just to understand this point, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared to teach by practical example. And how did he appear? Like we heard in the song, he appears, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, Jivedoya Kori, Swaparshada Sviyadama Sahavatari. He brings his whole dham and all the living entities with him, the liberated souls, and they also teach us. So it's a whole setup that shows us how this surrender is done. So I will just try to briefly tell a few pastimes from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates' life. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varchanam, to accept everything favorable and to reject everything unfavorable. There is one small, simple but very sweet pastime in Jagannath Puri, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was living there, he had one servant called Govinda, and Govinda would take care of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's needs like prasadam and giving massage. And one time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he took prasad, and after that he would lay down and take a rest. And Govinda, he would usually massage Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And on that particular day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was laying in the doorstep, and Govinda Prabhu wanted to go and massage him, but somehow Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was laying in a way where he could not approach him in a way that he would like to massage him. So he told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please, I want to give you a massage, can you move to the side? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, it's not possible, I'm too full and tired. And he said, but I want to give you a massage, I have to go to the other side. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, it's impossible for me to move. Do whatever you like, you can step over me, do as you like. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell asleep, so-called asleep. And then when he woke up, he saw Govinda on the other side. I'm not even sure if he's still massaging or he's just waiting. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gets up and he sees Govinda, and he asks him, did you take prasad? Because usually Govinda would serve prasad and then he would have to go and take remnants, except prasad himself. And he said no. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, why didn't you take prasad? And Govinda said, because I couldn't go out of the room. You were laying in the door, in the way. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was kind of surprised. He said, but hold on, you were, before I fell asleep, you were outside, and now you're inside, so how did you come inside? And he said, I stepped over you. And so he said, so why can't you just go step back over me and go and take prasad? And he explained, because for the service of you I can do that offensive activity of stepping over you, but to take prasad for my own enjoyment I cannot do. So in this way he was demonstrating that principle. Both of these principles. They go very much together. One also sweet pastime is when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu once he was in the Jagannath temple and you're the only one. Have you been inside? So there is a Garuda Stamba, no? You also? At the back you've been also? Fortunate souls. So it is said that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would take darshan standing at the Garuda Stamba. And one time there was a lot of people and there was one simple woman and she also wanted to take darshan, but she couldn't see the Lord properly and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in front and so she stepped on him. And so the devotees were completely agitated, what is she doing? But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lovingly accepted. He said, please don't disturb her, she's taking darshan of the Lord. So he also, of course, in a different way, he's kind of showing us that principle of whatever is favorable. And Prabhupada once, there is a pastime, I forgot who is telling, somebody was cleaning the room and this devotee was speaking to Prabhupada and that devotee was cleaning was touching Prabhupada with the feet almost. And so at one point the devotee told that Mataji or Prabhu, hey, please be careful. And Prabhupada immediately said, if it's for devotional service, she can even step on my head. So, very similar. Then, a devotee must be firmly convinced that Krishna will give him protection. And protection, who came to my mind? Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur, he exemplified that aspect perfectly because he was punished by the Qazi. The Muslim, the Qazi is what is written in the Chaitanya Bhagavad, the Qazi is the magistrate of the Muslims in a particular area. And so he punished, or he had Haridas Thakur punished in 22 marketplaces he would be beaten. And actually the goal was to beat him to death. And what did Haridas Thakur do? He didn't protest, he just let them do everything, let them beat him. And he didn't die. And then when the two servants of the Qazi who beat him told him that if you're not gonna die, we're gonna die, he said, if that's so, then I'm gonna die, and he fell unconscious. So they threw him in the Ganges, and later on he came out by the mercy of Krishna. So then they realized he's a saint, and what he did afterwards, so he showed that example of how he was completely surrendered and he didn't protect himself. And then just after that, he moved into a cave at the Ganges. And in that cave there was a snake, a poisonous snake, so poisonous that the whole air was actually became poisonous too. And he would live in that cave, and many people would come and they would leave immediately because they couldn't tolerate the stench of the poison, and also because they were afraid. But Haridas Thakur just lived in that cave, completely depending on the protection of the Lord, that the super soul is in the heart of the snake, so if Krishna wants me to be bitten, then the snake will bite me, and if Krishna doesn't want, then it will not. She will not bite. Then a short also pastime with Srivas Thakur about accepting Krishna as one's maintainer. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying in the house of Srivas Thakur for a few days, and Srivas Thakur, he was a grihasta, a family man. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying with him for a few days, and after a few days, he called Srivas and he spoke to him and he told him, you're a householder and I don't see you going out to work, to collect money or do anything. So how do you maintain your family? And then Krishna told, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him that you should take sannyas if you have this kind of mentality. And Shiva said, no, I cannot take sannyas because I have a family. I should take care of them in a way. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him, how is it, and what did Shivas do? He clapped 3 times. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him, what does it mean? So he said, if the first clap, if I don't get food on the first day, I will fast. If I don't get food on the second day, I will also fast. And if I don't get food on the third day, I will go to the Ganges and drown myself in the river. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became so happy to hear that. And I think he then himself quoted a verse from Bhagavad Gita. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate teshang nityaviyuktanam yoga kshemam vahamyaham. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. Famous verse. So we have accepting, rejecting, protection, maintenance, and then humility and self-surrender. We will not go into that because there is not much time. And I would just like to end somehow. I feel this is an important point to mention, that surrender means surrender to whom? It means to surrender to Krishna. And we know that we surrender to Krishna through our Guru. And one small anecdote comes to my mind also with Srila Prabhupada, where he made a very powerful point. In Mayapur, there was, of course, when the devotees moved to Mayapur, the ISKCON devotees, then at one point there was one American devotee who decided that he will build a hut, and go there and just chant Hare Krishna. And live kind of, you heard of that? Little bit secluded. And then the leaders became disturbed, because usually, I know from personal experience, that if you're the temple president or so, you're very happy if everybody surrendered and just does what you like, what you want. And if somebody doesn't do, then you become disturbed. So he left, and he was just chanting. So they went to Prabhupada and told him that Prabhupada, there's this one devotee, he's not living with us anymore and he's just chanting. And they asked him, why don't you come to... And he said, no, Prabhupada said, it is said, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, eva kevalam kalo nasteva, nasteva, nasteva gatiranyata, that it's the chanting of the holy name, and I'm going to focus on that. And what did Prabhupada say? Prabhupada said, as long as it's about what I think or what I want to do, there is no question of spiritual life. So we know from the Nectar of Devotion